So we are live on YouTube.
Thank you, Christy. Welcome to everyone. This is our regular meeting of council. It's being live streamed electronically, May the 17th. So our meeting is now open. And I'm going to ask everyone if we can have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. As I said, the meeting is now open, and welcome to our public who may be watching, our staff, and Forbes, welcome to you, and all of our council. So the meeting is now open, and I have a motion. It was moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings, that council agree to move items 8C and D from information item to action item for discussion. And I do believe that the action C and D are basically the same, the similar issue. I've read them both, but we can keep them both on and support one or both. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Also, our agenda was moved by Councillor Jennings, seconded by Councillor Straight, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated May the 17th, 2022 be approved as amended to replace the map on Bylaw 3907-2022 to show the lands as represented in the report from Milk House Farm and Dairy presented this date. All in favor?
Are you saying there's no, sorry, which are you saying there's an amended agenda?
Allison has a question.
Yeah, Allison.
Yes, so the mapping, Christy, can you enable me to share my screen, please?
You should be good to share now.
Thank you. So this is the original map on the bylaw. And you'll see the property outlined in red. It's not the property that's discussed in the report. It should be this property where my mouse is here. It's the incorrect, so I will pull it up as well. This is where you'll see the amended map to be the proper property that's being discussed in the report this evening. So it was just an administrative error, but the report is referring to this property. The mapping just had the wrong outline. So this is the amended map.
So any questions? Claus?
Thanks, Reeve. So Allison, the blue little square there, that represents the building? Or
Forbes?
Thank you, Reeve. Klaus, the blue area is the area that's actually being changed and rezoned. The balance of the land is staying rural, but the one front part where the actual milk house is going to be located is being changed. And I do apologize to council for the error in the mapping. That was my mistake. It was brought to my attention. I've been able to work with Allison to correct it.
Okay, good. Thanks, Forbes.
Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I'll also remind all of council that if you do have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting, and I will be disclosing my declaration a little later when it comes to this time. That'll be for 3A. So, but anyone can declare your conflict of interest on anything now or anytime during the meeting. The next motion I have was moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer that the minutes of the regular meeting of Council May the 3rd, 2022 be approved as circulated. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, then we're going to go, we have no delegations tonight. And we're going to go to the very first report of the municipal officer. That's going to be yours, Forbes, and I will be I am declaring a conflict of interest here. So if you can mute me and
Oh, you muted, all right. That was fast.
I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Can you bring him back, Christy? Let him say what he wanted to say.
Yes, I'm trying.
Thank you.
That was a total slip of the click.
You're too fast, my dear.
I was. I'm so sorry. Bill, you're muted, Bill. Can you unmute there?
Yeah, thank you. I was just saying that I am declaring the conflict, and the motion, there is a motion, but I think what Allison will be reading the motion clause because she's got it. I don't think you do. So she's got it and she can read it, and I'll hand the rest of the meeting, this part of the meeting, over to you. Thank you, Claus, and you can mute me.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Reeve. Okay, folks, so we have this before us right now, and I presume, Forbes, you have a report?
Yes, I do. Chair, thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead, Forbes.
Appreciate that. So this is a matter that we've had as a public meeting before council regarding the amendment to 805 Rosedale Road. There were no concerns or objections that were raised at the public meeting. The applicant has provided a fairly in-depth analysis, both land use compatibility, hydrogeologic assessments, and a detailed planning report. We're quite comfortable and confident that the application before you conforms to your official plan. It's supportive, which is supportive of agriculture in general. And the amendment before you is really quite simple. It's simply adding an agricultural products processing facility as a permitted use for the small portion of the property that's identified in blue. The balance of the subject property that's in red will be remain zoned rural, which allows for the agricultural use of the land. At this point in time, council has several options before you. The recommendation is to approve the zoning amendment. You also have an option to defer the amendment for further consideration or deliberation. And finally, you also have the option to deny the application with reason. Chair, that's my report. I'm not going to labor the issue at all. I am happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, thanks very much, Forbes. So council, go ahead. Ian?
Thank you, Deputy Reeve. And thank you very much, Forbes, for the report. I guess my only concern is, and I did send Forbes an email asking for some information. He was great, provided a whole bunch of information to me, which was interesting, very good reading. My only thing is that I would like to see the proposal sent to OMAFRA, to the planning office for the whole property, propose what it is that we're going to do. And I think that if we had that, I had that report back from OMAFRA that they were happy with the MDS setbacks for not only the existing building, but all the buildings that are on the existing property, then I would be, I would have no problem approving the zoning changes.
Okay, Forbes, if you'd like to answer that, please.
Under the Planning Act right now, we are not to circulate proposals such as this to OMAFRA. The direction is they're not involved with day-to-day planning, and they don't want to be involved with these decisions. They are there for advisory services. But getting staff people to comment on this, Councillor, I think would be virtually impossible. I'm very confident with my years of doing rural land use planning that the MDS is accurate and it's appropriate and it fits with the various guidelines set out by the province. But I would caution you that a deferral for getting comments from OMAFRA means that the application will sit there for a very, very long time. And I don't believe that anything value added will be gained from their assessment.
Thank you, Forbes. Councillor Straight.
Yeah, and then just to follow up on that, Forbes, I appreciate what you're saying. And the MDS for the existing change to there is fine, but what about the other existing buildings that are on the property? Do they meet all the MDS requirements? Have they been checked to make sure whether there's any expansion or anything else that may go on?
The one new building that's housing livestock meets with the MDS. The other buildings are not identified for livestock, but they are existing lots, or they are existing buildings, and they do have legal non-conforming status should they be used at all for housing of livestock. So I am comfortable with the new building, and the existing buildings have legal non-conforming status, and there's not much we can do about that.
So just, you said the existing buildings, other than the one there, has a non-conforming status. What does that mean?
That means that they've existed and been used for agricultural purposes prior to the establishment of the bylaw that may or may not restrict their use. So they've been part of a farm holding. They've been used as accessory structures for the farm holding, and they can continue to be used in that form in perpetuity, regardless of what the bylaw says. They're grandfathered.
So they're and the one building is not that old though, is it?
I'm not 100% sure about that, Councillor, but I can tell you that we've done the review, and the buildings are consistent with the bylaw. The one building that we're most concerned about was the newer structure for the housing of livestock, and it meets with the requirements.
So just to clarify, it meets the MDS requirements for the neighboring properties,
Yes,
not
sir.
the properties for the neighboring properties.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Forbes, for that detailed description. Any other comments from councils? Okay, seeing none, my personal comment is I think this is a great project. This young couple have worked very hard at this project, and they've been very successful in what they're doing. So I think it's a plus win-win for Montague Township to see this forward. So Allison, I presume you have a motion.
I do. Thank you, Chair. Moved by Councillor Jennings, seconded by Councillor Straight. Sorry, wrong one. Let me just grab it here. Moved by Councillor Carroll, seconded by Councillor Jennings. The council approves the rezoning of a 0.3 hectare portion of the property described municipally as 805 Rosedale Road South from rural to rural special exemption, whereby the exemption allows a cheese making facility as a permitted use under the definition of an agricultural products processing facility.
Okay, any further comments or questions? All those in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Allison, and thank you, Forbes, for your work on this. I'm sure the young couple will be very happy to move forward.
Thank you, Chair. I have an item on your committee of the whole agenda as well tonight. Can I ask that Christy text me when that item's coming up so that I'll just go and get a bite to eat?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank
We'll
you
let you
very
have your
much,
supper.
Council. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you shortly.
Okay, thanks again, Forbes. Okay, Krista, you there?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Bill back.
Can you get Bill back again?
There he is.
Thanks, Christy. So we're going to move on to 3B, and that's also your your report, Allison, and on the special council meeting.
Yes, thank you, Chair. At this time, I'm just looking to get consensus from council to have a special meeting on Tuesday, May 31st. This is one of those times that we have a little bit of a break between our council meetings, just the way it falls in May. I'm looking for a special meeting to address and to discuss the township facilities. I know that it's been ongoing and it may be beneficial for us to have a special meeting to just address that particular item for that reason.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. I'm just wondering, I'll open it up to council if we have any questions, but I noticed in the motion, it says to discuss the township hall options. I'm just wondering if it would be more clear if we said the township facility, or even specifically administration, fire hall, public works options, or I'll leave that to you, but township hall options, some people may think that actually means the Rosedale Hall. Karen?
You could even just put the address on Roger Stevens so that it's clear it's the whole parcel.
So with that, Allison, if it's fine with council, just to change that wording to make it a little bit more clear, we can go ahead and vote on this, and I can sign the new motion as it's rewritten later.
Yep, absolutely.
Pause.
Thank you, Reeve. Allison, I think this is a great idea. Will the company that we had do the study on the facilities and so forth, the last presentation they made, are they coming back to this meeting, or we're just discussing this amongst ourselves?
No, so they have finished up. So the idea behind this would be for us to bring forward, we don't know what the costs will be, but I would bring scenarios forward from a financial perspective of, if it was $4 million with no kind of funding, what would that look like over a 20-30 year period for us based on our annual repayment limit? Have those discussions and try and get down to what we're kind of looking at. I will put the final document that we've received from Chun on the agenda, though, so we can see kind of the floor plans and things like that they've kind of presented to have that discussion.
Yes, Claus?
Yeah, a follow-up, Reeve, if I may. Thank you, Allison. That's very good that you're going to present that. Would it be possible for you to be able to email that to us in advance so we can read it over before the meeting?
Yes, I will get that out to council as soon as possible. Next week at the latest.
Okay, well, very good, Allison. Thank you.
So Allison, my recollection was, and maybe somebody on council can correct me, but I thought that there were a couple of outstanding questions that we had when we last talked to the consultant.
Yep.
And so does anybody know about that? And will those questions come to this meeting? Or those answers, I should say? Yes.
So Chair, I will follow up with the consultant again and just verify and see if I can, if they will attend the meeting or if there is some kind of an additional fee. But I will follow up the consultant and I will let you know.
Thanks. Any other further questions? All in favor? Or I'll reread the motion then. Moved by Councillor Jennings, seconded by Councillor Straight, that council call a special meeting for Tuesday, May the 31st, 2022 to discuss the township hall options, and we'll be putting the proper wording into that. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Allison, for that. And moving on, we're going to the reports to the committees. And I have a motion. It was moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer that the council approve the minutes of the council of the committee of the whole meeting of May the 3rd, 2022, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Those are carried. Thank you. And any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, we're moving on. We have no petitions tonight. The bylaws, we have some the first one was moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll. That bylaw 3906/2022 being a bylaw to amend citizen appointment bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 17th day of May, 2022. All in favor? That one's carried. Thank you. Next bylaw was moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings, that bylaw 3907/2022 being a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw number 3478/2015 of the Township of Montague be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 17th day of May, 2022. All in favor? Thank you. And the next one, no, that's it for those. Now, the next one is going to be, the next motion is moved by Councillor Jennings and seconded by Councillor Straight, that council recess at 6:21. Yes,
No.
Jeff?
No.
I'm sorry, just one sec. Sorry, I really am jumping ahead here. I think I've already caught all of it. Yeah, we have no, the bylaws are finished. We have no motions, notice motions. And the correspondence, we did have to move on here. We did have 2, 3 and D move forward to action. And I believe maybe Jeff, you were the person that asked for these to be moved forward. So I'll leave it to you to take over this part and speak to them, and you can let us know whether you wish to combine the two or do them separately or what. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Reeve. Yeah, I mean, they're both really the same, so we can choose if we just want to support both, just to send, more the merrier maybe, or the one. I think we've read them. It's just basically, once again, the support for more infrastructure, more money in our rural communities. I was reading about the LRT on the weekend when I was doing it, and I was the amount of billions of dollars that were poured into that. And I just trying to do some quick math saying that by our population, we should be, that's 9.5 million that we should be coming to just our township alone, if that's what they want to go to the LRT. So anyway, that's my dig sort of towards it is, the money's always flowing to the cities, and we have a clear need for it and the push for it. And anyway, so I guess I would leave it up to council too as well. I'm fine with just maybe we could just support both and just send more the merrier, if everybody's fine with that.
And would you like to make the motion, and we'll get a seconder and then we can vote on it?
Yeah, for sure. I'll move that.
Seconded by Ian Straight. Did you want to speak to it, Ian?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Reeve.
Go ahead.
I think that if we could, is it possible to expand on it a little bit? Like, these things are very, they talk about infrastructure projects related to specifically bridges and culverts. And I think that it would be nice if it was a little bit more broad than that, which included all infrastructure projects within rural communities. Something like what just Councillor Carroll just mentioned. There's a lot of money going to LRT and everywhere else in the province. It'd be nice if the rural communities weren't forgotten. And I just don't want to. I would definitely want to support it, but I want it to be much broader and not just tailored to major bridge and culvert replacements.
So I agree with what you're saying, Councillor Straight, that it's extremely important, and that we do need more. We need money on a broad perspective, but specifically, I feel we can only discuss and vote on this resolution, which was already passed by another municipality exactly as it is. So, and if we in Montague ever wanted to put together a similar type of motion and send it out on a broader scale to everybody, we can do that, the same as they are. But specifically right now, we have to discuss and vote on the issue that Councillor Carroll has moved forward.
Thank you very much, Reeve, and I agree with you in what you say, and I have no problem supporting both of these, obviously. But you know what? Maybe we should do our own little notice and send it out and ask for some funding for infrastructure for municipalities, considering the amount that, as Councillor Carroll just brought forward, is being spent in the larger urban areas.
Yeah, well, we can do that in due course for sure. So, Councillor Straight, are you seconding this then?
Yes, I will for sure.
And Jeff, is it in your mind? Are we doing this for both of them at the same time?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for the vote to support both of these resolutions, C and D. All in favor? Those are both carried. Thank you, Jeff, for bringing that forward.
I agree.
Now, moving forward, we have no unfinished business. And I will now have the motion moved by Councillor Jennings, seconded by Councillor Straight, that council recess at 6.
Bill.
Are we still going to do the any questions?
That's what I was wondering.
Okay, so before, we can do them now or later, but we can ask now, and if there's any questions, we'll ask again when we do reconvene. So right now, do we have any questions, Christy and or Allison?
I'm just double checking one other spot that people might ask questions. Give me 1 second.
I don't have any for the council agenda.
I have no questions here on my end either.
Okay, thank you. So it is now 6:27, so all in favor of recessing? That's carried, thanks. Okay, so do you need a minute to just move everything over? I don't think we need to. I'm just going to change over all my paperwork here, and I'll just be 1 sec.
Do we need Forbes back for the first item on the committee of the whole?
I'm just trying to get them back right now.
Oh, cool, Christy, thanks. So.
Okay, I'm going to open this meeting then now. I'll also declare, I will also mention to all of council that if you have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. We do have a motion. It was moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings that the committee of the whole agenda dated May the 17th, 2022 be approved as amended to change the site plan application from Jacob Drummond to Katie Drummond. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So now we're going to go to the first report of the municipal officer. And I believe, Forbes, if you're with us. The first, thanks, Forbes. Welcome back. Hope you had a quick supper there. We didn't give you much time.
Oh, that's okay.
But anyways, this first report is by yourself for 563 Heritage Drive site plan agreement. So I'll give the screen to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Reeve. This is a matter that involves property at 563 Heritage Drive. It's related to a site plan that's been submitted by the owner of the property to permit a deck to be constructed on the water side of the house. There's been a fair amount of back and forth with this proposal between your CBO, myself, the property owner, and the Conservation Authority. And recently, we've been able to get confirmation from the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority that the deck is going to be outside of the 30-meter setback, and therefore comply with all the provisions of the zoning bylaw. And that the only matter is then having its site plan approved by council and a site plan agreement registered on the property. I don't believe that there's anything other than that. It's a fairly straightforward proposal, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ian?
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Simon, how big is the deck?
The deck is going to be 10 by 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite a process to have to go through to build a 10 by 30 deck.
The issue is because it's waterfront, Councillor. All waterfront development has to go through site plan approval. There is an interesting option that was implemented by the province recently to delegate the approval of site plans to staff. That's now a requirement, and it's something that might be able to assist in streamlining the approval process and moving it forward quicker.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that would be great. This is kind of a little bit unfortunate they had to go through all this to build a 10 by 30 deck, but it is what it is. Just a second. Thank you.
Councillor Carroll?
Yeah, I mean, the piggyback off that too as well. I'm just trying to understand it too as well. It's good to hear that there's some changes because obviously exactly what Councillor Straight said, it seems a little bit an extra hoops to build a deck. Well, but if you said it's not encroaching on the 30-meter, there's a 30-meter setback rule, but it didn't go over that, but a site plan and the approval from RVCA is still needed just for building a deck, even though it's not even encroaching on that 30-meter threshold.
Yes, sir. There is a requirement for all waterfront development to go through site plan control. That's at the discretion of council. If you wish to change that, that is an option for you. But it's also, even though it's outside of the 30-meter setback, Councillor Carroll, it is within the area that's regulated by the Conservation Authority and therefore requires a permit from them. And so your CBO has been coordinating between the Conservation Authority, myself, and the applicant, and we've got there. But I would agree with you. It is a bit of a cumbersome process, and I would be happy to work with your staff to come up with some options for you to think about streamlining this type of thing.
So quick follow-up, Reed, if you don't mind.
Yes.
So do we have, I guess it's one of those things we're trying to understand. So is it part of the delays or issues or bylaws that we have in place, or is it strictly just what is already in place, I'm going to say, from the RVCA or from the province above?
No, thank you very much, Councillor. That's a great question. It's a combination, right? The Conservation Authority has a role to play with all waterfront development, and if the development takes place within the regulated area that's clearly mapped, then you need to permit from them as well as the building permit. The need for site plan control is set out in your official plan, and it's at the discretion of council whether waterfront development is subject to site plan control. It is quite often recommended that it is, but you can put limits on it, that it's for new development and not accessory structures or additions or garages. There's different options you could do, but it would be a combination of all three. And I would also suggest, Jeff, that the transition that's been going on with planning staff has been part of the confusion, right? it takes a while for a new planner to come in and put all the pieces together and say, okay, this is the way forward. And that's been part of the issue, I think, with this file.
Thanks, Forbes. Thanks.
Yes, Klaus?
Thanks, Reeve. Thanks for the report, Forbes, and I agree with the other two, Councillor Straight and Councillor Carroll. This is very unfortunate that people have got to go through all these hoops. So I think at some point in time, you said the council can control this a bit better ourselves, that we take a look at these situations for the future, because there is going to be more building happening in our township, and people are going to want to build decks, and they're going to want to improve the backyards of their property. That we need to take a better serious look at, that we get better control of this.
So what I would suggest, if that's the wish of council, to provide direction to staff to come back with a report of site plan control options for waterfront development.
Yeah,
and I would be happy. I'd be happy to assist your staff in preparing a report and identifying options and what would be involved with the various options. So I'd be happy to help out.
Okay, Reeve, do we need a consensus on that option?
Well, I'll go to Allison about this, but I feel that we shouldn't be making a decision right now about that. That's a good decision. I agree with it all. But there's another time that we should be doing that. Not right now, not in the middle of this.
No, I agree. I agree. Down the road.
No, we can do it right away in the next, like the very next meeting if we want, but we should either put a notice of motion on the floor, or one of us brings it to our clerk administrator and she brings it forward to us. But I don't think it can be wound into this motion.
No, I agree. Sorry. Thank you.
Allison?
Yeah, so it doesn't need to be wound into the motion. I think that staff hears council and we will bring something forward.
Okay, thanks. And thanks for all the suggestions. I just have one really quick question, Forbes, because when I first read it, the way the motion is and the report is that it is to accommodate the addition and deck to the property. So when I first read it, it almost sounded like there was going to be, we were accommodating a separate little addition plus a deck.
Yeah. I apologize for that. The addition was, that was a hangover from a previous report, and I failed to pick that up. It is only for the deck.
So before we vote on this, can we eliminate the word addition?
I have no issues with that, sir.
Okay, if there's no opposition to us changing that, then I think it would be it's just more clear. Thanks. So I'm going to reread this. Moved by Councillor Jennings, second by Councillor Straight, that the committee of the whole supports the principle of the site plan application submitted by the owners of the property known municipally as 563 Heritage Drive, and that council passes a resolution authorizing the clerk administrator and Reeve to execute a site plan agreement with Katie Drummond to accommodate the deck to the property. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. So thank you, Forbes, for this. And if I think this is the only one that you had to help us with.
Yes, sir.
So we will let you continue your dinner.
Thank you very much. And it was always a pleasure to be with Montague Council. Yeah. Have a good evening.
Thanks a lot, Forbes. Okay, we're going to move on then, everybody, council and staff. We're going to 3B, and that's the soft spot rehabilitation by Steve. And I believe you're with us, Steve. Yes, Allison?
Chair, Steve is not here this evening for this report, so I am going to present it on his behalf.
Thank you. Okay, Allison.
So as committee will recall and council, during the budget deliberations, there was a new item put in for $22,500 to deal with some soft spots in the gravel road projects. based on the preliminary and second draft, it was not removed. But in the final budget, the number had been reduced by $17,180 without the approval of council. So what we're just looking for at this time is to continue to deal with those soft spots, spend up to the 22.5 that was in all of the preliminary budgets and should have been in the final, based off of the review of the budget. And there should be at least $15,000 in saving in wages in public works, just based off the budgeted number and where we're at right now, moving forward on an estimated basis. So, and there'll be some other small savings in other places in public works. But this is a health and safety issue for the users of the road. And it's one of those things that should be addressed. So we're just requesting council because to approve the 22 up to the 22.5 to address this soft spot issues as presented at budget.
Thanks, Allison. Any questions? Seeing none, I do have a motion. It was moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer that staff be directed to continue rehabilitating soft spot areas up to the original $22,500 included in the preliminary and second draft of the 2022 budget. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on, I guess then Allison, I believe all of the rest are going to be yours. So the next one is on the appointment of an alternative CEMC.
Thank you, Chair. So as in the report, it's not mandated for us to have an alternate CEMC at the municipal level, but we were visited by the provincial appointed person for our area. They came to the township and they recommended that we should have an alternate in the event that the CEMC is not available at the time of emergency. The individual had stated that a good option is the clerk administrator. I do have some of the emergency management training. I have been an alternate CEMC at other municipalities. So that dealt with emergencies like the flooding in 19 and those type of things. So this is just to bring forward and kind of move forward in our emergency management and get an alternate appointed by bylaw at the next meeting, and to advise council that there may be some training that I will be taking when it becomes available to advance my courses in the CEMC.
Any questions? I have a motion moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer, seconded by Councillor Carroll, that council appoint Clerk Administrator Alison Berkin as the alternate Community Emergency Management Coordinator at the council meeting of June the 7th, 2022. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. The next one is on the Indigenous Awareness Training.
Thank you, Chair. So this item is being carried forward from 2021, a June meeting that council had requested staff explore options and costs related to Indigenous awareness training. So we have done so, and in this report, you will note training that is 100% Indigenous created and owned. It's a kind of an entry level. The first course is like an entry level 60 to 90 minute online introduction to it. The recommendation is for staff and council to take the training. We do have training budgets. It's $48 per person. And then we will be bringing back a report to further other items that are outstanding in relation to this as well, for the agenda and those type of things. So this is kind of a start to move forward in this process.
Any questions? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Carroll, seconded by Councillor Jennings, that council direct council and staff to take introduction to Indigenous awareness training course, and that all new employees take the training upon hire. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next one on the hospital donation survey.
Thank you, Chair. So again, this was an item that was carried forward, I believe back in 2019 was the first time when the Smith Falls Perth Hospital came forward and went around to the local lower tier municipalities to request funding. Excuse my verbiage of donation, it should be funding in this report. And I know that there are several lower tier municipalities that have debated the funding, and it's come forward every year since. The county does provide $350,000 a year to be split between the hospitals. And because this was still on the outstanding list of how do we survey our residents and ratepayers on how they feel about this, and with online surveys can be skewed, and potentially so can tax bill ones if they give it to somebody else or something along those lines. But we would probably address it with colored paper, certain types of things on them, potentially barcodes or whatever, that would allow us to know who the survey was from. And that would give us some kind of an indication on, I guess, how the ratepayers feel. Again, bringing this back, as we know, it'll come forward again at budget for 2023. So from the Treasury perspective, I'm kind of looking at tax bills going out in July, August. So if we want to do something try and get that out in 2023, it would be relatively soon. If we're not interested or want to come up with a better solution, then we can defer this item.
Thanks, Allison. Yes, Claus.
Thank you, Allison, for that report. A lot of thought went into it, and I thank you for that. I question surveys. I mean, I get them all the time, and I just wonder how many people actually fill them in. Are we going to get a decent result situation on this particular thing? I know it's a very important issue, and it has been an important issue for me, very personal, to be honest with you. So I'm concerned that are we going to get a good result from this survey? I mean, we've done surveys before, and they haven't been all that great. What percentage of people surveyed are we looking for? 30%, 50%? You know, to get an accurate answer.
Who is your question to, Claus?
Well, I guess it's a little unfair question to Allison, because you've just been with us for a short time. But I guess maybe my question to Councillor Carroll, on the survey for the Recreation Committee, what was our percentage of results?
I can't remember the number. It was around 200, I think, which is not a lot for sure. And that was an online, relatively accessible one. So I mean, this is even trickier. So I mean, yeah,
that's less than 10% of the population.
Yep.
So I guess for now, then, Claus, you're just sort of expressing a concern.
Yeah, I'm expressing concern whether. I mean, I'm not saying we don't do this. I'm just expressing concern. Is it going to give us the answer that we want?
Okay, so we've got two more questions coming up. First is you, Ian, and then second, Karen.
Thank you very much, Reeve. I guess my question or comment in regards to it is that, it's not going to happen. It's not in this year's budget. And there's a brand new council coming on potentially, later on this year. So I think that this could be pushed until the new council comes into effect. And if that's something that the new council wants to proceed with, then they can decide to go ahead with the survey or whatever means they feel relevant to get enough information to make a decision regarding donations to the hospital.
I guess my only comment there, Councillor Straight, would be that by going ahead and doing the preliminary survey now, it would help that new council. Because otherwise the new council would have really not near the knowledge that they should have to make a decision to do with the budget. But this, I feel that this survey is only, we're only looking at doing that survey to help either this council or another council. It's only to provide some background information about how the public would feel. Karen?
I have a question for Ali with reference to the tax billing that's coming up for this suggestion to go out to. With Montague Township, for people that have mortgages, do the tax bills actually get mailed at the time of billing to the resident, or only after the payments have been receipted from their banks for timing purposes of a survey in a tax bill?
So it's after it's been paid. So that's a good point, Karen. It is after it's been paid. So the time frame to receive them back would need to accommodate those people.
And could it, Allison? Would that work then?
Yeah, we can absolutely accommodate that time frame from that perspective.
But we're not looking then until the middle of November or later, because the final billing is October. And some of the banks only make a payment on each installment. So it wouldn't be until later anyway, which is going to probably be out of our term, right? So I mean, the information is going to be that late.
Yeah, like the bills will go out, the final bills will go out end of July, beginning of August, and then the mortgage individuals would get theirs in September, like end of August, September usually.
But the final payment, like our final tax bill is August and October. So I know some of the banks, although in the years before, they would make like that front loading payment of all of it. But I know some of them have switched where they won't make that final October till October. So it's going to be after that before it goes out to the property owner.
Right, but we still have a requirement under the Municipal Act to provide them with a copy of their bill, whether it's paid through PAP or mortgage in a certain time frame.
Okay, so you would send prior to the payment to the property owner though? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
That's what I wasn't clear on.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Jeff?
I guess I have a few things. I mean, the first part of it too, as well, if we decided to do a survey, I mean, a few things on my opinion of it is not saying, I like how Allison kind of switched it from donation to funding. To me, it's a tax. So, I mean, I think it'd be better to say, are you okay with a tax for you being taxed extra in order for the publicly funded hospital to receive a portion of that? And also, I think in that survey too, as well, it would be interesting to put that the county of Lanark does contribute the $350,000, which does account for this much money that actually came out of the township already. If that was going to be all put in there, it might openly give me the thought of considering the survey. If it's not, and we want to just carry it like this, I don't think it is a true reflection of what the ask actually is, because we have to remember this is like not being done anywhere else in Ontario that we've been shown. And the last point I have too, as well, is that because we have an election coming up, and it's that carryover. If it's an issue, I think it would be on that. I mean, I think everybody would get that feeling or that pulse, whoever the people that are running, to know what, you know, as they're talking to people, what their thoughts are too as well, and that council might be then really prepared for the next year to make that decision.
Councilor Straight?
Yeah, good point, Councilor Carroll. Actually, I just heard about the city of Ottawa with their new hospital, and I think that is exactly how it's being portrayed to their community as well. It's going on their tax bill as a tax to fund the hospital. So I don't think it's It's definitely not a donation or a funding, but they are presenting it to their constituents as a tax, an actual line item on their tax bill. So I think you're right. You know, providing all the information up front so everybody can make a proper decision is vital.
Thanks. Allison?
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up with Councillor Straight, that is what Tay Valley does as well. It's shown as a special area charge, no different than some of the municipalities that break out the policing cost. So they have the same type of thing for the hospital, the amount that they provide to the hospitals.
Okay. So I'm going to read this motion as it is, and if it needs to be changed, we can do that. But I'll read it as it is first. And it was moved by Councillor Jennings and seconded by Councillor Straight that council directs staff to include a survey to residents, ratepayers of the Township of Montague in with tax bills, and that council directs staff to compile the information and report back the findings. All in favor? All right, first of all, is that okay with everybody? Do we need changes there or what?
I think it needs to be as clear as what Jeff had asked for, that they understand it. I think I'd like to see a additional wording put in like Jeff had mentioned, so that they understand that.
Yeah, and I really feel that that council will all feel the same way. Does that need to be put into the motion here, though? Because our staff will be sending this out, and I think our staff's already heard what we're asking. I don't mind, we can put it in there if you wish.
Maybe just some amended wording due to what we saw compared to what Jeff mentioned, though.
Okay. Allison, do you want to respond to this? And then I'll go to Councillor Carolyn Straight.
So my thoughts would be that it may be beneficial for us to develop a survey and bring it back to committee or council for final approval.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea too. So then I guess this motion as it is, could we just defer this motion for now? Do we need another motion on the floor and vote on it to defer it, or can we just defer this?
You can defer that item.
Okay, any other questions in on this? Okay, so then this issue is just deferred for now. And one of the things that I have actually mentioned to let everybody know at the county level, and it should be made clear too, that the $350,000 that we're talking about is not funding / donating to the Perth Smith Falls Hospital. That's to the 4 hospitals in Lanark County. So we've got Perth, Smith Falls, Carlton Place, and Almont. So that's to 4. But because there's been so much discussion around our table and around probably other tables at the lower tier and at the county level, I have brought forward the suggestion to the county, and it still is an issue that's being discussed. So it's not been settled or anything, but the way that I see it, it might be more clear, more transparent, more fair in every way if there was one, if all of the funding to the 4 hospitals was done through the county at the county level, and then no lower tier would have to do it. It was only a suggestion on my part, and there seemed to be a lot of interest in that, but you wouldn't have some municipalities donating and some not. You would have the county making one donation to all 4 hospitals. What that amount might be would remain for discussion. But anyways, I did put that on the table, and it's something that will continue to be discussed in the future. Yes, Councillor Carroll.
Thank you, Reeve. I appreciate that. My only concern is that there are councils and municipalities out there that are voting against it. So my concern of that is that it could be perceived that you're bypassing the wishes of the townships and the councils, and then letting it go through on the county. I mean, it's a concern if obviously if it rises up even higher, because if the county decides to go to $500,000 of a funding tax to the hospital, and I always want to be clear, I have no issue with the money going to the hospital. If anything, the hospitals need more money. We underfund in the province as it is. That's a bigger picture idea. That's why I've always been against this. It's a bigger picture idea of the lack of funding that our province is doing. And I think that's a concern is that, well, where is that $500,000 coming from? And why is it not being put into the social services, which are the county's direct responsibility? And all of the mandates that the county is responsible for. That's my biggest concern, because that's getting the big dollar values that can be really focused towards what the county is directly responsible for. And I think when we get away from what we're directly responsible for, that really gets into muddy waters for IBS, from the RVCA to any organization underneath there. Anyway, it's just my thoughts behind that.
Yeah, and the one of the main reasons I did bring this up was because we're struggling to get a better way to do it, a more fair way to do it. And it never seemed fair to me that one municipality pays into the hospital, funds the hospital, and one doesn't, and yet both municipalities use it equally. That was always a concern of mine. I think maybe Karen, you had your hand up, and then back to Ian. So Karen.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we supported a motion to AMO, if I remember correctly, to have a discussion that it should be the province that is stepping up for the funding of the hospitals. It's not up to the municipalities. And I mean, with reference to the city of Ottawa, when the news was speaking to the residents of the city, there were several that said this should be a provincial thing because of the fact that it's more than just the city people who use it. And it's more than just, we all at some point in time travel, and we could have to use a hospital anywhere. So it should be up to the provinces, but.
Okay, so I'll go to you, Ian, and then we'll finalize this because this issue is now deferred. So Ian.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Councilor Carroll and Councilor Jennings in regards to this. This is the problem. Part of the problem is that municipalities keep on propping up something that should be provincially funded. And as we keep on continuing to propping it up, it just goes to show that they say, okay, well, don't worry about it so much because, the counties and the municipalities and the urban centers are going to increase their taxes and start pumping more money into the hospital organization. It's not fixing the problem. It's actually hindering the problem of getting it fixed at the end of the day.
Okay, thanks everybody then for that. So this one has been deferred and it'll come back later. We're moving on to the next one is F, and that's the Pound Services Agreement.
Thank you, Chair. So this item, council or committee did give direction in 2021 to move forward with a renewal from 2021 to 2025. The agreement was never completed with Mr. Parent. I did get in touch with Mr. Parent to get a contract in place based on the contract that's in front of committee this evening. That's what we've been paying him without an agreement in place. At this time, he's willing to have an agreement until July 31st of 2023, just because there's some uncertainties that at this time he couldn't guarantee based on just location and some items that are happening. So he would guarantee us to the July 31st, 2023, and then staff will readdress prior to then and bring back something to council.
Any questions from council? We have a motion here. It was moved by Councillor Straight, seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer, that council direct staff to bring forward a bylaw for the Pound Services contract with Andrew Parent until July the 31st, 2023 to the June 7th, 2022 council meeting. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you for that one. And the next one is the Rosedale Hall rental.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yeah, sorry, Allison. Yes, Claus. Claus, you're muted.
I apologize, Reeve. I've read through this item. I think it just deals strictly with the rental of the hall, which I have nothing to do with. It's strictly administration and an office thing. So I will sit in and listen to what this conversation is about.
Okay, it's back to you, Allison. Thanks.
Thank you,
Claus.
Chair. So Rosedale Hall rental, back in 2020, I believe the fees and charges were set. The pandemic happened and there's been no events or no major bookings, just due to the restrictions that were in place through the Emergency Management Act. So in 2022, there has been multiple groups request the space based on the fees and charges bylaw. After the 19th rental, it's $20 to rent the hall. So we've had one group that has booked every Sunday that's been available until the end of 2022. They would also like to book all of 2023 and potentially 2024 with the fees the way that they are. With that, members of that same group have requested every Friday and every Saturday for different things that would be at the $20 because of the over 19 rentals. Our current cost to clean the hall is $35 an hour with an average. I had 1.75 on here. It's probably closer to 2 per rental. So it does work out that with the current fees and charges, and if we have those extended rentals or multiple rentals, it's actually costing us money that's in here. The other concerns that I do have is it monopolizes every weekend at Rosedale Hall. I know the council really wants the building used and those type of things, but does monopolize. We don't even have our township functions booked in, such as like the pit barbecue that the fire puts on, the recreation events, those type of things. An example, so the cleaning fees are laid out in this report as far as like a potential loss of over almost $4,000 a year, depending with the current fees and charges based on those multiple rentals. The fire association also has an agreement with the township to have the bar at the hall. They have a cost for insurance and an application. They have I believe it's a 4-year application in right now for almost $1,200 or $1,500. So if it's being monopolized every weekend for non-bar events, I think that we need to address that agreement and address that with the fire association in the sense that they may have thousands of dollars in costs and not be able to really recoup any of those monies. So there are a couple of options. The recommended option is for us to bring forward an updated fees and charges to address the shortfalls in the rental amounts at this time. But we can leave the fees and charges the same and book it on a first come, first serve, similar to what's happening now. But I would still recommend that we don't allow people to book 2 years in advance for every Saturday and every Sunday. Maybe for special events like weddings and things like that, but not to monopolize every weekend for 3 years in advance. We could have an option of that we bring forward restrictions on timing to book multiple bookings, such as, maybe it's Monday through Thursday if you want to rent every Monday evening for euchre or cards or whatever the case is, that's okay, but the weekends maybe are limited to so many advanced bookings. So this time it's basically to get a feeling from council, because I know it is very important for everyone that the hall gets used and it's a community facility and a community hub, that we take a look at this, but the recommendation from staff is to address the fees and charges to make sure that it's at least a break even.
Thank you, Allison. I do think it's very, very important that we can talk about it tonight, but it's also extremely important that that you come back with another report regarding this sooner than later. But I'll go to council, and first Karen.
So not only can we look at our fees, but can we check then our neighboring municipalities who might have multiple rentals and see how they're handling? Because to have dropped it as low as we did and have consecutive rentals at that lower rate just isn't making any sense at all to me. And definitely it has to cover at least what our expenses are, because we're not in the business of subsidizing for rentals. Break even's one thing, but yeah, definitely not subsidizing. So not only if we could look at our rents, but check and see how our neighboring municipalities are handling any multiple bookings.
Yeah, and I agree, Karen, and I think it's not just the dollars and cents, but to me, my opinion is that we have to be providing like diversity, and to allow one person or one group to monopolize the whole hall is not, we would not be providing a community hall to our taxpayers. So Allison, it's extremely great that you picked up on this and that you're bringing this to us now to discuss it. It's very, very important. And thank you for that. Ian?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Just to go back on what Councillor Jennings yourself just said, this is all great. And I think that what we're seeing now is a total opposite of where we were, right? Nobody really wanted to, you know, a few years ago, we couldn't really even give it away. We went and invested a lot of money in it, made it all nice, put new flooring, repainted it, and we put a lot of time, energy, and money into it. It made it pretty nice to go there and utilize. And now we're seeing influx of people that want to use it, especially since the price is so low. So I'm glad you caught it, Allison, and you'll bring it to our attention. It's great, and let's see what you bring forward.
Any other questions? If not, I have a motion. Then it was moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll that Council direct the Clerk Administrator, Acting Treasurer, to bring amendments to the fees and charges bylaw to address the Rosedale Hall rental rates and costs. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to the next one is the junior planner position. And back to you, Allison.
Thank you, Chair. So this is another item that committee had discussed prior to the arrival of myself, and looking at, you know, kind of filling that planning position. I believe that the planning position had been posted with the township previously and not filled. There was some kind of posting with the town of Smith Falls as well. And then it was brought back kind of a junior planner for the municipality as their own. So there's a couple options in front of committee this evening. I did discuss it with Forbes and also another planner in another township on, you know, what potentially would work for us in Montague. Planning is not my expertise. I'm more in finance side. So option one would be to post for a planner, somebody with an RPP, you know, several options to share, partner, or have our own planner RPP. If we were sharing, we would obviously need some kind of an administrative side as well, to have somebody at the office to answer those questions. And because our CBO gets a lot of the planning questions still from time before us having, you know, any kind of planner, our CBO gets a lot of planning questions and takes up a lot of time. So it would be nice to have somebody in the office to take those questions. We could go with a junior planner or planning coordinator. The position wouldn't necessarily need an RPP. They could be working towards an RPP or be somebody that's just had experience in the planning department, planning and building areas, and would be able to functionally administrate and do all that background work for the planning and assist in some of the easier building stuff, like when people come in and say, you know, do I need a permit for a pool? Those type of things to be able to help the building side, because it's very busy right now as well. And with this position, we would still need an RPP to sign off or deal with those really contentious issues and mentor our junior position. So with that, the approximate costs based off the hourly rate that was presented to committee, there would need to be some adjustments in that because the spread on the hourly rate was only a 2% spread. Our pay grid is about 21% between the high and low. So I would have to bring back a more realistic grid based on that. But it would be about 52 to 67 plus employment for that option, so about 72 to 88. We would still need a contracted planner or some kind of a shared planner from another municipality if there was any ability. If not, you know, to have a contracted planner similar to what we do now, that I would be estimating, depending on the time, maybe 15 to 25,000 a year. The first year might be more as that junior planner gets comfortable and gets in that position. But as they become mentored and move forward, I think that number would drop as we move forward, for a total of about 87 to 113, depending on who we would get for applications. The third is to ask the county to take on planning services similar to that of Renfrew County. So in Renfrew County, some municipalities have planners. Some of the small municipalities, the county does the planning for them. So you know, they come into the office and we would direct them to the county. The county takes over the planning. The only issue I see with that right now is that I know even at the County of Lanark, they're busy, they're overloaded. The planning departments are really busy everywhere. So those are some options. The recommended option for us based on our situation and to have kind of overlap and succession would be option 2, because we would have a junior planner and we would have that contracted or shared potentially with a neighboring municipality and RPP to sign off. So that if one or the other positions leave, we still have somebody there. So, and we would have that junior person in the office 5 days a week, helping with both planning and building and growing with us in the municipality. So the options and the financials are listed. Option 1 with the full RPP would be about 100 to 120,000 based on the 2022 salary grid of the planning manager and employment costs. Option 2 would be 87 to about 113, depending on the scoring of the position and because of the spread not being accurate on the one that was presented. And option 3, unknown if this is even an option at this time. It doesn't mean that it can't be maybe in the future, but at this time, I don't know if that would be an option with the county. Again, for the finance side, with myself taking over the treasury, there is funds there to bring somebody in full time to address this issue. And we desperately need it. We're busy. The planning is busy, the building is busy, and we need to fill this position.
Thank you, Allison. Claus?
Thank you, Reeve. Again, Allison, thank you very much for a very in-depth report. Did we not agree at one of our council meetings to post looking for a junior planner? We didn't agree upon that. We talked about it. That's all we did. Okay, I guess thought we agreed upon it. If we had a junior planner, then Allison, would we still require the services of Forbes?
Yes, Allison.
So we would need the services of an RPP, whether we stay with JP2G with Forbes, or if we had the ability to share somewhere else, we could do that as well. But until that time, yes, we would still need an RPP until such time that if we had a junior person that was working towards their RPP, then we could have that discussion. But without the RPP, we would need somebody to sign off and review those applications. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, excuse me, the acronym RPP standing for Registered Planner.
Registered Planning Practitioner, I believe.
Okay, now I know that acronym. Thank you.
Councillor Jennings?
So you're saying as a junior planner, they're going to do work for both building and planning?
Yes,
Chair?
Allison?
So I think for the biggest thing, and not so much a lot on the building side, they would help on the building side in the sense of sending off the stats can information, because building and planning are so close together that they would be that connecting link for our CBO and then the RPP that we would have a contract. But it's more so to alleviate on the Mondays and Fridays when our CBO is out, that if somebody comes in with a simple question of, do I need a permit for a pool or something like that, that it's not just deferred to a voicemail, that we can send that to that person and they would answer it quite easily.
So you're also saying in this salary, the range that you're giving for a junior planner has been the adjusted value that you've calculated, not what was provided in error?
So I used the bottom number that was presented and did the 21% spread up to the top end instead of a 2% spread. I have not looked at, and that's why I'm saying that I would bring back the job description with the accurate pay. I have not looked at the documents on how those numbers were justified from the original review.
Okay.
Claus?
Okay, thank you, Reeve. Allison, question, I guess maybe a maintenance question more. Do we have space to have an office for a junior planner?
Chairs through you. So yes, we have we have the student's office that is empty. And also right now with me taking on the treasury, depending if that stays there, that office will be vacant. I can move everything.
Sorry, dumb question, sorry.
Okay. So any other further questions on this? I do have a motion. Oh, Jeff?
I was just gonna say, because we have options, so I mean, I am in favor of option 2. I think it's the route that we need to go. So I don't know what you're gonna bring up there, Reeve, but I would say option 2 is the one that I'm in favor of looking for the junior planner and then keeping the a contract planner to deal with the contentious and the bigger sign-offs. And I would look for, obviously, for staff to come back with the finalized numbers and all that kind of stuff, so we could start to go out and advertise for that, and hopefully get it to some of the universities too as well to look at that. So anyway, that's where I'm going. So I don't know what the consensus would be.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Carroll. And so going along with that and moving forward, we do have a motion which was moved by yourself and seconded by Councillor Jennings, that council directs staff to bring forward an updated job description and salary range for a junior planner position to the June 7th, 2022 council meeting for approval. If there's no further questions, all in favor? And that one is carried. Thank you, Allison, for that one. And moving on, the next one is the AMO delegation.
Thank you, Chair. So we received an email, each year we receive an email about a request to be a delegation to a minister at AMO. AMO is in Ottawa this year, so it's relatively local. So I again, only being here 3 weeks, I don't know if there's another issue that council would like to potentially be a delegate to, or request to be a delegate at AMO. I know that some of you plan on going. So my recommendation from a staff perspective is to be a delegate on the farm tax incentive program. I guess kind of similar to like the hospitals that you guys have been discussing, is that it's a provincial program and used to be funded through the province. The farmers would apply to the province. They would pay residential taxes, the 1-to-1, and then apply to the province for their 75 cents on the dollar to be refunded for the farm tax incentive program administration. then it got transferred to the lower tiers, the municipalities that hold the farms. So now the farms are taxed 25 cents on the dollar right from the municipal level. So the municipalities who hold these big farms don't get the 75 cents on the dollar. And the province basically has downloaded the whole program onto the municipalities. So I think it's to request that the province look at this again and either look at changing how OMPF funding is distributed to accommodate those farmlands so that the towns who have none wouldn't get maybe the same amount of OMPF, but the municipalities, the rural areas who do have substantial farmlands would get a different cut, or for them to take some of the program back. I think that we would have, I know that there is council members in Mississippi Mills who are very keen on this as well. They have a big farming community with Pakenham and those type of things. I know that Amherst and Brumley Township in Renfrew County is the same. You know, it's about a $750,000 a year difference that we're talking about for them. So I think that it may be a benefit, but if there's another item that council would like to maybe be a delegate for, or if nobody on council wants to be the delegate to do this, then maybe we'll look at something else. But from a staff perspective, I think that we could head this and take it on and get a document done up for somebody to delegate to the Minister of Finance.
Councillor Straight.
Yeah, thank you very much again, Allison. These are great initiatives, and I think these are the fundamentals of what we should be doing when we go to these conferences, right? It's our opportunity to sit down in front of a minister, of whoever it might be, and you know, bring something up that's important to our community. I guess my big thing is, would you have an idea of what the cost impact are for our municipality in regards to farm taxes? Is that a big, and if you don't obviously right now, is that something you could put together for the next meeting or not? I'm not too sure how much work that would be.
Yeah, so Chair, through you, for us, it's about $136,000 a year. So it's maybe not as substantial as some of the other areas, but it is still substantial on our budget.
All right, I think it's a great initiative, and I definitely have no problem supporting it and being part of the delegation that goes to see the minister.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Klaus.
Yeah, thanks, Reeve. Yeah, thank you, Allison. I agree with Councillor Straight. I think this is something that we should be looking at to support our farming community, even though it is, you know, getting kind of small, and which is unfortunate. But farming nowadays covers more than just what we call basic farming. There's a lot of farming that goes on that's more than what we know as quote unquote farming. There's different segments in farming, so it's something worthwhile to go after.
So I guess I would just ask one thing though, Allison, that we maybe double check with the county to make sure that no one else is delegating over the same issue, or the county might be, because if that was the case, then traditionally what we've done in the past is sometimes two or more municipalities will piggyback each other on the same delegation. So I feel that we should just make sure to, because all the municipalities are now discussing what delegations, if any, they're going to do at AMO, and sometimes there's an overlap. Yes, Allison.
So if I may, Chair, my intention was that if there was interest from our council, that we will kind of I will send it out to be honest, all of Lanark County CAOs and treasurers, and to Renfrew County, at least this side, because I know there's so many that feel strongly about it, that we would be potentially a large with one speaker, but have a lot of potential township logos in support of what we would be delegating for to try and strengthen our delegation.
Well, that would be very great. Okay, seeing no further questions, I do have this motion here that was moved by Councillor Jennings and seconded by Councillor Straight, that council approve the clerk administrator to submit a request to be a delegation at the AMO conference to the Minister of Finance on the Tax Farm Incentive Program. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Allison, for that one. The next one is on the tax arrears.
Thank you, Chair. This is just an information item to bring to council. I think it's been some time since maybe they've seen the tax arrears update. So it's just to bring forward kind of showing that the tax arrears are decreasing. The pandemic and the sales and the housing market has affected that as well, because there's been some turnover and some sales and cleanup of those tax arrears whenever those type of things happen. But from April 30th, 2021 till April 30th, 2022, it's almost $60,000 less. And from April 30th, 2020 to April 30th, 2022, for over a 2-year period, it's almost $152,000 less. So it's a good news story.
Allison, do you know what that what percentage that might be? Of what's the percentage of tax arrears?
Over our total tax, municipal taxes?
Yes. If you don't have it now, that's fine. I do remember a time, quite a long time ago, that it was around 19%, and then we've been, I think over the last many years, we've been decreasing, kind of slowly decreasing every year. But I believe that at one point we had gone from like 19 to 10 or something like that. But I just wondered, do we have any percentage now on that?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
But we will have it with our financial statements when that comes as well.
Okay, no problem. Yes, Ian?
Yeah, thank you very much, Reeve. Obviously, a great job done by the staff. I remember my first term of council and having our first audit done by our outside agency at the end of the year, and this was the highlighted beacon of the whole audit. Everything else was good, but our tax arrears were horrendous and way out of balance with anybody else within the county by far. And I just want to say thanks to the staff for being diligent in getting this taken care of. And the effort is definitely appreciated.
Thanks. Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer that council receive the tax arrears report for information. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the last one on the zoning bylaw update.
Thank you, Chair. So there has been substantial changes to the building code over the last couple weeks, I guess, prior to the provincial election being called. So currently we're awaiting our official plan amendment from the County of Lanark. The OP obviously establishes all of our land use policies that guide and develop, but the zoning bylaw is our primary planning tool to implement those policies. So our zoning bylaw has been amended several times. It was brought in 2015. It's been amended several times. There's been changes that we really should be looking at addressing and doing an amended, redoing our zoning bylaw and compiling all of our amendments. It was not included in the budget. I know that the acting clerk administrator in 2021 did have interest in redoing the zoning bylaw. So I think just in staff changeover, maybe it got missed for budget time, but the recommendation would be for us to at least prepare an RFP and get pricing to be discussed at council to move forward with updating our zoning bylaw and redoing it. So it would be estimated just based on others similar size, about 25 to 35,000. As I said, it's not in the budget at this time. We're just requesting to go to RFP to see where we'd be sitting. We would have the ability, we still have over 300,000 in the modernization funding that could address our zoning from that perspective. So this at this time would be just to approve to go to RFP.
So Allison, if we did approve this RFP, like in your estimation, would we be able to still deal with this this year?
So it wouldn't get it. I mean, the zoning, it wouldn't be like updated this year, but we could potentially get pricing back and make award it to someone this year. But it would take some time to actually do the work itself.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about along the same lines as it's been brought up a few times in the last few weeks, is that would this be a complicated or complex or difficult issue for a new council to be handling? That's why I was asking the question. But I guess they would have to, a new council would have to, if it wasn't ready, they'd have to, so. Yeah. Councillor, yes, sorry, Claus, yes.
And thanks, Reeve. Again, also a good report. I tend maybe agree with you, Reeve, that this might be a bit difficult to do now and hand over to a new council, but I think if we did some of the groundwork on this, it might make it a little easier for the new council for doing this zoning bylaw change. And with all the building that's going on within the township, I think it's a very necessary thing to get done. I know the timing is not good, but we may be setting some start points for the new council.
Okay, thanks. Yes, Karen?
Who will take this on to do this? Like, I know you're going to put it out for an RFP, but who's going to put the document together to send all of that out?
Or
So Chair, through you, it would be myself, and I've already contacted another municipal treasurer planner that would assist me with it for no charge, like just as municipal, helping municipal.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I have a motion. It was moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll that council directs staff to prepare an RFP for a zoning bylaw update and consolidation. All in favor? That one is carried. Thank you. And now back to you, Allison and or Christy, to find out if we have any questions from the public.
I do have a question from the public.
Yes.
Good evening. As council is trying to figure out what to do with this SF hospital financial request through Montague taxpayers, has the township requested the finances that the hospital has raised on their own? As this Carleton Place Hospital has a provincial lottery license and works with the local Legion for Catch the Ace, why can Smith Falls Hospital not implement the same means? Yes, it takes bodies to organize, but the Smith Falls Hospital is not requesting help. It will not show up by itself. So I think the question is, has the council or township requested Smith Falls finances from their fundraising committee?
Yes, I'll go to you, Councillor Jennings, and then to Cos.
I know it was requested. I can't say that it was ever received, but I have seen where the hospital is actually doing a lottery as well now. But as to what the other fundraisers are, I'm not sure.
Okay, thanks, Karen. And Klaus?
Yeah, Councillor Jennings basically said what I said. If you drive in front of the hospital, you'll see a great big board up there where they had a big fundraiser and they hit their target way beyond it. So, and the two foundations have just amalgamated together in the last 6-8 months or whatever. So at least they're now working together as one foundation for collecting funds, and that, which I know personally has helped out quite a bit.
Okay, thanks, Klaus and Karen. Any other questions, Allison or Christy?
I have no questions here on my end.
Okay, thank you then. We have no reports of committees, no petitions, motions, notice of motion, and there's no unfinished and other business. And I do have a motion here. It was moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings that this council do now adjourn at, can someone give me the time, please?
7:40.
7:40 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried. So this meeting is now adjourned, and does anyone need a break before we go in? Okay, we're going to take a 2-minute break. We can change over, and then we will be reconvening our council meeting. So 2 minutes, please. Hey, welcome everyone. I think everyone's with us now. I do have a motion. It was moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Vandermeer that council reconvene at, and what's the time, please?
7:47.
7:47. Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I think before we recessed, I believe that I forgot the section there, E. We dealt with the C and the D, but I forgot the E, the council assigned tasks. But I don't think there was any resolution or anything that we needed to read there, Allison, eh? I think in the past we've had a resolution, but I don't really feel we needed it. But I just wanted to mention that. Oh yes, it was on the information items, and nobody moved it forward, so it's fine. Thanks. And as I said, we did have no unfinished and other business. We did recess, and now I have a motion. It was moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll, that this council moves into closed session as per S 239(2) of the Municipal Act S0/2001 in order to address 4 items. Items 1 and 2 are personal items about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, more specifically township staff. Item 3 is a personal matter about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. More specifically, township contractor. And item 4, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, more specifically, township contractor. All in favor? Thank you.
Just
And
give
that
me,
is carried.
oh, I was gonna say, just give me a moment to stop the live stream.